then he could go into more of a damage-oriented build. Go, because he's really ahead, move into Triforce, and maybe even Black Cleaver later on with the Warrior enchant. But if things aren't going so well, then he's got the choice to just stick back to the tanky role, go for Cinderhulk, go for Black Cleaver, just be a tanky utility champion for his team. We are now loaded into the Rift. We're seeing once again the same thing coming out from Adelaide Alpha, moving as a 5-man unit, looking to get almost guaranteed vision on the enemy team. However, same thing coming up from VGN. They're going to spot the 5-man invade and know that they've got the freedom to go into the enemy jungle and get their own vision down.
Yep, there's a ward placed there. Adelaide Alpha know that, but they don't really care. They're just going to walk past it. I think they're going to get a few deep wards down, which might signal a potential lane swap coming up from Adelaide Alpha. They had a lot of trouble going into Moo Moo and Bark Bark last game, so maybe they have the same sentiment coming into this one.
Yeah, but it's going to be the same story once again. I said last time, if they went for the lane swap, VGN aren't going to be too worried. Because they've got such a similar lineup here, they're not going to be worried too much once again, because they've got Shyvana as a jungler top laner, who can take camps very easily, like 1 or 2, even just on his own without the help of the jungler, and then can easily go into that 2v1 lane with a solid amount of experience, and much better than what Shoulder Raven's going to be able to do. He doesn't have smite. Sure, he can take out an early camp with all of his saplings, but it's not going to be enough. And they look like they're actually looking for a kill onto Liberty. This happened last game where they almost got a kill on him, but he does force the flash is forced out. But this time, he doesn't force any flashes or ignites out from the enemy team.
Hey, theme of this series coming out here. Gank the lane who has no mobility and no flash. Liberty has no flash. Really interesting to see Saw Zulan, somebody who does need maybe a few kills or assists early game in order to snowball to come out.
Oh, this is so smart by VGN.
Actually, and Bark go on into the top lane. Yeah, VGN just really know that their jungler's being aggressed on. They're going for the lane swap into Pinox and Illyri in the top lane. This is really volatile at the moment.
Yeah, things are kind of all over the place, but it was good movement up by Moo Moo and Bark Bark. They found Shoulder Raven trying to finish off the camp. He wasn't able to get the big raptor. Bark Bark could be a little bit caught out here, but they don't have the tools to really lock him up for long enough. Yes, the Vault Breaker's there. Actually, they do force a flash out of him, which is pretty good. So this time it's going to be Adelaide Alpha starting off on the strong foot. However, they didn't get the lane swap they want, so we'll see if that plays into it a little bit.
Oh well, Adelaide Alpha has in their mindset, we need to go for broken. We lose this, we lose everything, so
hang on, Moo Moo getting locked up by the Vault Breaker underneath his own turret. Throws out the heal to try and keep things extended, but the heal's not going to be enough to keep Shoulder Raven alive, so it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, but with all the resources put into that, it's not going to be a good trade for Adelaide Alpha.
That is definitely not a good trade. 1-for-1, you got first blood, so that's 400 gold, plus another 200 worth of assists on everybody else who was involved, as opposed to 300. So yeah, you're up in gold. You're double the gold from that 1-for-1 trade. But you had to blow you had to blow a flash, actually, in order to do that. So maybe Shoulder Raven, actually in the mid lane, that came out.
Yeah, that was just Katha coming in, blew both to summoner spells on the Deco. Had to use a flash of his own, but picked up the kill with the Ignite coming up from their mid laner. Bark Bark dropped pretty low, but either still going to keep him pretty healthy. And once again, Moo Moo just getting completely on top of Pinox, dropping him low, forcing him out of lane. Illyri is going to suffer the same fate. Boomerang Blade's not going to be enough as the flash is forced by Illyri.
Moo Moo is doing wonders on this Lucian, and I think if this series does manage to go to a third game, then Adelaide Alpha really need to consider either taking Lucian away or banning it away, because Moo Moo on Lucian, once he gets, as we've seen from the previous game, just really takes the game.
Absolutely right. And once again, they're trying to swap the lanes up. You can see that they're sending Pinox and Illyri back down to the bottom lane. They do still have Shoulder Raven down there, so hopefully he's going to be looking for a bit of a recall here. But you can see it's the same story. They just do not want to deal with Moo Moo and Bark Bark. And while I kind of agree with that, at the same time, VGN aren't going to suffer too much from this. Robo Santa dropping pretty low, so he's going to suffer once this lane turns into a 2v1.
An interesting pickup that I think we may have just missed. Bottom lane, little bit of fighting, and Robo-Santa manages to escape out of there nicely. A nice property of Shyvana being to escape pretty much any situation at all points in the game, but Liberty in the mid lane, picking up that early kill, actually opting to go for upgrading his Hex Core. So that's a really early one.
It's an interesting choice. Kaffa, in fact, making an interesting choice of his own, diving into 3 members of the enemy team. Does have the tower advantage in the mid lane, though. Bark looks like he's in a bit of trouble. Does go to dodge that bouncing bomb. May have put himself in more trouble than before. As saw Zulan still on the pursuit. Vault Breaker, seconds away from coming back up. There it is, smashes him into the wall. One more auto attack, and they pick up the kill, evening things up. It's only a 300 gold difference. This is a completely different story to last game. But fight still continues. Saw Zulan looking for another kill onto Liberty, picks up the double kill, and this should be a dragon for Adelaide Alpha.
They're going super ham. Adelaide Alpha, like I said before, has the mindset, we've got nothing to lose, we just need to go for it, and they do. They invade really early on. They're traveling as a group. They may be losing some CS to Binox, as we can see Mumu pulling ahead, freezing the lane in top lane, getting some CS, but they're getting the kills, and they're denying the enemy from getting CS as well. They just picked up an early dragon. It'll be interesting to see whether they continue this trend of roaming around as a group, or whether they go back to lane.
The important thing to note, though, is that they're really silencing the late game spike that should have been coming out from VGN. So the fact that VGN's not able to get this early advantage, they're also not able to compound that with picking up an early dragon, because Adelaide Alpha obviously just picked that one up. They're keeping things even, they've got the dragon ahead, so if Adelaide Alpha can keep things up here, they should be able to move into the late game well enough. There aren't too many late game threats on VGN. Shyvana can turn into a bit of a raid boss later on, but everything else is very, simple to deal with. You've got Vi who can just lock onto the enemy marksman, or even the Victor if that becomes a problem. And then that's easy enough to solve. You're going to follow that up with a depth charge from Nautilus, and that should be enough for them to deal with. So I feel like Adelaide Alpha do have the tools to deal with everything late game, and the fact that they're shutting down the mid game spike from VGN is really, really doing wonders for them.
Yeah, and they just know that mid-game spike is really what propels VGN forward. VGN look really comfortable with a mid-game lead. They're like, we know exactly what to do, we know where to be, we know how to fight, when to fight, and under what conditions we can win. So it's so important for Adelaide Alpha to deny them. They're doing really well.
The Kaffa paying a little bit of attention up to this top lane, just waiting for Shoulder Raven to step out of position here. A champion that doesn't have too much of an escape. And if he does catch him out, Mumu's level 6. He should have the damage to capitalize on the kill here. There's no level 6 on Shoulder Raven, but he does have a flash available. And in he goes, Kaffa. Doesn't get the knockup, but does force the flash on the Shoulder Raven.
In the bot lane, there's just a little bit of trade, nothing much going on. If you take a look, Pinox has actually pulled back quite well. For somebody who has been roaming in that death squad early on, he's even in farm. And Mumu's going to go back, so Pinox might actually pull ahead right now. That's pretty interesting to see.
That said though, Mumu was the target of a lot of attention early on. That 4-man dive on top of him, while he did force out a 1-for-1 trade, he did lose out a lot of CS on that. In fact, at one point, he had 2 CS compared to the 15 CS of Pinox. So the fact that he's actually caught up is probably the result of Pinox roaming around so much. So all things considered, Illusion is still going even in lane, which is generally not what you want to happen when you're playing that champion. You want to dominate the lane, and just the frequent lane swaps that have come out and just the map manipulation that Adelaide Alpha have been able to put out has just been so brilliant in denying Mumu his key strength. But he's found Pinox this time, looking for a kill. He's level 6. Cullen's already been used. Valyria in a lot of trouble, has to flash out. And once again, lane dominance going back over to Mumu.
Mumu knows this champion inside out. He just went back and picked up a BF sword, as opposed to Pinox, who's sitting on enough for one, sitting on enough for more than one, or actually a bit.
Oh, and here comes the assault and battery onto Bark. Mumu left completely untouched, but Illyria's finally found him. Flashed in for the kill by Pinox. One more auto attack on him could get the kill for Mumu. Mumu's still safe enough, but Shoulder Raven should be a brick wall denying any advance from the rest of VGN.
Like I was saying before the little fight just started out, Mumu really knows his champion, and I think he just solidified that with Saw Zulan turning it into a 3v2, and he managed to pick up a 1-for-1 anyway. He just came back to lane with a BF sword. He knew that Pinox did not actually go back to buy, so he immediately pushed his advantage. He got lane dominance, and even though there was a gank, Pinox couldn't really participate in that gank because he was so low.
Shoulder Raven looking to get a bit of damage onto Mumu. He should be mobile enough to get out of here. The sapling may actually get the slow on him, but Mumu's actually turned around, had plenty of damage to take Shoulder Raven low. There was a bit of minion damage to add on to that. The tornado knocks him up, and Mumu picks up a kill.
Mumu picked up red from that Saw Zulan gank, and he just managed to use it against Shoulder Raven. I don't think Shoulder Raven really anticipated it until the first order came down, and he was like, oh, why am I moving slowly? Oh no, he has red. So unfortunate for Shoulder Raven that he got taken down there.
And they are looking to take down this bottom lane turret, which is actually going to be pretty important as Dragon's only a minute 15 away. If they can get this turret down, Shoulder Raven doesn't want it to happen though, as he does teleport down, but it is dangerously low. They can get it down before this next dragon spawns. They can get enough map presence to move it and get the vision they need to take dragon. As I said before, you know, they've still got the mid-game spike, so they still have some advantage, especially on a 3-for-1 Lucian. But as Adelaide Alpha move in, they've still got river dominance here and could be looking to fill it up with their own wards.
I think it's just standard warding strategy right now. They know that Dragon's coming up because they have the timer on it. They're just trying to get a lot of pressure down on bottom side so that they can force people out of their own jungle. It's pretty standard, and I think they're going to take a blue for it.
They'll be able to steal a blue, but the big story is going to be whether they can take this dragon. I feel like if Adelaide Alpha can secure this dragon, it's still 20 seconds to go. So VGN have the time to come down to try and contest it. Especially with the global power from Rek'Sai. However, Robo Santa doesn't have his teleport out, which could be crucial here, as they're looking to maybe go for a contest on positioning at least.
Robo Santa doesn't have teleport, but it looks like he's walking down anyway, so that shouldn't be a huge problem. What is a problem, however, though, is Saw Zulan used Smite to take away the blue from VGN, so he does not have Smite right now. Good point.
That said, this dragon's dropping incredibly fast, and VGN want to go in. The dragons are sent straight to the teamfight. Pinox already dropped incredibly low, and Mumu arrives late to the party, but is going to have an effect anyway. The Mega Inferno Bomb goes down, but doesn't have much of an effect, as Ziggs is soon to follow. And VGN take a 3-for-0. They may be looking to take it even further. Dragon should be secured. Saw Zulan completely flanked. Dragon and an absolute dominating teamfight go over to VGN.
VGN really plays so well, not as individuals with mechanics, but as a holistic team who know exactly who the other, what the other members are going to do. They really played that well. Their positioning was just amazing. They even managed to catch Shoulder Raven under that turret, finish off as an unofficial ace, and they're going to take this turret for free as well as that dragon. So even though Adelaide Alpha managed to deny them early, it doesn't look like that was enough to really keep the beast down.
So my prediction did come true, just one dragon too late. They take out a pretty solid team fight and took a dragon out as a result of that, because you looked at it about a minute ago, the gold wasn't too different. There was maybe 2,000 gold difference. There's now a 6,000 gold deficit for Adelaide Alpha. They're so far behind. And that all just happened in the span of a few minutes, so VGN really knew where their power was. They were smart to bring Robo Santa down, and he had a lot of impact on the fight. And you know, a lot of the reason that Adelaide Alpha weren't able to have any hopes of contesting that at all was just Pinox caught completely out of position, and was just burst down pretty much at the start of the fight, just from that burst damage that comes from Liberty, as we've seen in this game and the last one.
Yeah, and we were talking about this earlier. I really am questioning the picks and bans of Adelaide Alpha. I was doing it before, and I'll do it again now, because you essentially, taking away the Cho'Gath, all things considered, allowed VGN to get pretty much the same team comp as before, and they really push it to their advantage. So if you know that you're going to give away the same team comp that they won on, why wouldn't you pick a team comp that countered it? I mean, they have a lot of dive potential, but they don't have a lot of damage coming out. They have a bit of tankiness, but it's just not the same as like actually countering the team comp, because I don't think they did that well.
They did manage to pick up a better team that can handle the mid game from VGN just a bit better, but oh no, the Kelling's coming out. The Rubber Ducky should save Nadeko. In fact, Sol Zulan coming and tanking up a bit of the Kelling there. But I mean, just look at that. That pink ward right there just shows how dominant the positioning is for VGN right here. And Sol Zulan should be soon to follow, not even able to Vault Breaker out to safety. VGN still holding onto that lead nice and solidly and able to push this advantage hopefully into this turret here. Pinox does have enough wave clear to keep it safe, but who knows, we may see a dive.
Oh, we might actually, because there are the numbers advantage in mid lane. It does look like in bottom, Liberty's just going to shove by himself, so no, he's going to come up and join. I think that it would be better, yeah, he's going back to shove the lane, because he has to really pressure people down there. It's either they go mid or they go bottom.
And at the same time as well, he's doing pretty well for himself. You know, we talk about Mumu a lot, but Liberty, he's 2-1 for 3. He's like a sizable chunk of CS ahead of his lane opponent. So he can really safely 1v1 a lot of the members. However, Assault and Battery goes in, but Sol Zulan's already lost half of his health, sitting in the Chaos Storm. Liberty dropped pretty low, forced to flash out, Shoulder Raven on the pursuit. Gaffer keeping Pinox away. In fact, maybe he's the one that burst him last team fight as we saw Pinox drop incredibly low. One more auto attack onto Gaffer should be enough to kill him. But the Phase Seeker manages to come in and pick up the kill. Liberty, meanwhile, managed to take up a lot of time, Shoulder Raven, but does eventually go down. And Adelaide Alpha managing to get a little bit of a better team fight, but it's still a 3-for-2 in favor of VGN.
Yeah. VGN are just playing this to advantage. Even when it starts out none of their advantage, they just manage to turn it around. Illyri's getting caught here because he's being flanked from the other side. They're just playing the map so well. Look at the wards that they've got right now in top side and bottom side jungle simultaneously. So they're warding out the dragon. Barons are not even coming up anytime soon, but like they've got so much vision there that they're prepared for it.
So hang on, we see Shoulder Raven looking to go in for a kill, trying to pick up Bark. The Mega Inferno Bomb does go down, but also Shoulder Raven going down. Mumu drops incredibly low. Teleport coming in from Robo Santa, looking to pick up the kill onto Pinox, but the Rubber Ducky actually interrupts the Dragon's descent. Pinox dropping lower and lower, but this tower should be enough to keep him alive. One more auto attack will make that a Dragon's Breath. Will pick up the kill onto Pinox. The Deco dropping pretty low, actually burning quite a lot there, but should have the range advantage here. And Robo Santa's going to back off, but not after a very favorable trade.
That was not favorable for them at all. No. There's just nothing really to say about it. As Dragon comes up in a minute, they might just want to establish a bit of vision that they already have. Clear out that ward that's in Dragon Pit. They should know that it's there once they sweep it out. Yeah, it's just standard strategy of taking Dragon, taking the lead, and making the lead really solid.
So the Righteous Glory is now finally coming out for Shoulder Raven, and this is it's been a pretty crucial pickup for Adelaide Alpha as a whole so far in the tournament, and you know, generally most teams picking it up. However, when you're going into a losing situation as they are right now, Righteous Glory only gives you the movement speed towards the enemy team, and as we've seen so far, a lot of these fights have been Adelaide Alpha just trying to get out. Oh no, this is going to be the same thing happening. Illyri didn't have his spider senses kick in time. Does go down to the 4-man bush gank. 3-man.
And you're absolutely right with the questioning of itemization coming out from Adelaide Alpha. That Righteous Glory, as we said, is really only for if you're winning, and it's questionable for when they're behind in a situation like this. Another thing that's questionable for when they're in a situation behind like this is what looks like a Making a Blade of the Ruined King, a warrior enchantment for Vi. You're behind, you need to be tanky. You can get Black Cleaver as damage. Ooh, as Pinox gets sniped there by Mumu with the Cullen.
So the fight continues. Sol Zulan bursted pretty low. In fact, doesn't end up going down. This tower should be soon to follow. And this is just still the continuing dominance coming out from VGN, really representing their region of Auckland and New Zealand as a whole incredibly well. Everyone back home is super duper proud of them.
And they definitely should be, because they're just doing so well right here. They are systematic in everything they do. They're denying the jungle. They're rotating to places where they need to be. They're taking dragons. They lost the first one, but that was purely because of an advantage that Adelaide Alpha had. They get the advantage back from when they didn't have one. They're playing super well.
I also want to bring it back to Sol Zulan's choices of items. You know, you brought up the warrior enchant, you know, kind of questionable, but you can sort of relate it back to being comfortable back when that was the item to go for, and it's still a pretty good fit for Vi in any case. But he appears to be building into a Blade of the Ruined King, which I don't agree with. You know, that's really the only time I would ever build that on Vi is if I'm so far ahead that I know I can just go up to someone, 1v1 them, and take them out in a 1-2-3 punch. That is not the case right now at all, and Blade of the Ruined King, it's gonna give him the active in a team fight if he's lucky enough to even use it before he gets bursted down by Mumu, by Liberty, and he's just gonna have zero effect on the fight.
At the current moment, you can see how much damage Mumu was laying out. If Zulan decided to go into this, I don't even think you could 1v1 Mumu, even with the Assault of Battle.
And there was the Righteous Glory actually used, but Robo Santa's arrived to the party. Mumu almost taken down by Zulan with that damage we were just talking about, but the squishy Vi eventually goes down in a 1-for-1 trade, but still, even in a 2v3 situation, they're still on the pursuit, but Kappa's arrived to even up the score. The double knockups there, takes down the Deco, Shoulder Raven should be soon to follow, and the Prey Seeker going in to finalize the ace.
That was a nice snipe, I just have to say, from Kappa to pick up the ace there. Illyria does come back up, but what can a supporterless do when it comes to defending an in-pip turret and an in-pip? Not much, I have to say. So Zulan comes up as well, but that's going to be too little too late. Surely they're going to lose him.
Interesting to note as well, the supporterless you just talked about, Illyria is actually building towards another Righteous Glory, which again, I don't really agree with. I mean, you've already got one on Shoulder Raven, and you know, while they can stack fairly well, you know, using them in succession of each other, it's not really something you want to use if you're pretty much running away from every single team fight. Yes, if they can find the opportunity to get picks off of VGN, maybe they can come back, and that's where Righteous Glory would come in, but that's pretty much their only hope right now. As Shoulder Raven isn't able to defend the turret, gets locked up in the gravity field, and even with Flash, has already dropped pretty low, but the burst onto Nadeko is going to take him down instead.
Liberty is just so far ahead. As we can see, he practically just 100-0 Nadeko there. Yeah, that is just so questionable coming out from Adelaide Alpha. I think what their mentality right now is, there is only one condition that we can win this from, and that condition is that we catch somebody out as they're rotating and they're not with the team, so double Righteous Glory can do that. But VGN doesn't look like they're going to do that anytime soon. They're a roaming death squad, and I don't think they're going to separate the rest of the whole game.
No, that's... Even if it was the case, the amount of times that Adelaide Alpha would need to do that, they'd have to catch people out 20 million times to have a hope of coming back to this game. They're 16,000 gold behind. Kappa's looking for another kill on the Shoulder Raven, and I just wouldn't be surprised if he managed to get it. Although Shoulder Raven should be tanky enough to get out of here, and that's... You know, look at the creep score differences between the top laners. It's almost 70 difference here, and it just shows how untanky Shoulder Raven is right now. But Noakes is in a bit of trouble managing to stay alive for this fight, but VGN don't care. They're going to take down the front line before they move into the squishies in the back. They do manage to force Adelaide Alpha back, and they're looking to take down this inhibitor turret. But Nadeko dropped incredibly low, but Noak's incredibly low, looking for safety underneath the turret, won't find it. Zulan jumps into Mumu, but like I said before, he's too squishy, gets taken down straight away. 2 for nothing so far. That should continue for VGN, and this may even be good game.
There are 2 in-pits down, there are 2 members down for Adelaide Alpha. Make that 3. There's just no contesting this. You can't even defend your own Nexus. I think this was just so well played by VGN, and they will be moving through to the semi-finals, it looks like.
Yeah, and VGN should make it to... Mumu is not going to get dumped back into the fountain. In fact, turning it up for a kill, and he gets it! New Zealand pride right there. But that's going to be the Nexus going down, and just probably the most solid 2-0 in a best of 3 I've seen in a long time. VGN.GIGA from University of Auckland are the first to move into the top 4 of the OCC. They're going to be in the semi-finals, and they're only one best of 3 series away from making